Well, if you're talking about swag, like you're not looking at me because I'm literally the lowest swag in the NFL. The most swag?
No swag.
I'd say, I don't know, just because
I don't need my
see him
linebackers
wear
to
a
have
bunch of
swag.
cool stuff that I could never wear, but just because I would look terrible
Who?
in it. But J-Mo. J-Mo's got he's got a lot of cool shoes. I mean,
Yeah, you want
everyone's
swag
got
in your
so
wide
much cool
receivers,
like
not your
cars and
linebackers.
everything. Yeah, I don't got that, unfortunately. I got me that 25, the 2015 Dodge Ram. Gets the job done.
The swagger quotient may be off, but the vibes are up, the sparks are flying at Lions camp, and they are ready for pads. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Johnny Gaz. Thank you for returning for another video. I just wanted to give you a quick news and notes update. Coming out of the first week of Lions training camp, we're heading into the first Monday of padded practice. So we'll talk about the biggest news coming out of this first week and talk about the biggest impacts at Lions camp so far. Let's go. Before we get into those Lions, make sure to slap the like button on the video. It's the best free way to help out the channel. We're going for 200 likes today. Hitting the subscription button and the notify bell is the best way to make sure you don't miss any future videos here on Johnny Gaz Sports. I want to say thank you to everyone that's gotten involved, all the support, everybody viewing a video, putting a comment down on these things. It's just so much fun talking Lions football with you guys. It's been great. We're heading to 2,000 subscribers, and that is all because of you. Thank you guys so much. We now have a membership option available as well. If you hit the join button on any one of my videos, I'll walk you through all the different levels and how you can become a part of the family. Thank you guys so much. Let's get into today's topics. This past Saturday, July 27th, for the first time, the Lions invited fans into the newly renovated and newly named Meyer Performance Center. Season ticket holders and other fans alike were able to pack the session there on Saturday for the first time. Over 2,600 fans were in attendance. It brought a new vibe and a new energy to the whole training camp there, which has already been much anticipated and very exciting so far. As far as roster moves, heading into the second training camp week and the first session with pads coming up here on Monday, Christian Mahogany is still on the NFI list. He's been ill for all of training camp so far, and DJ Reader is on the physically unable to perform list, but has gotten light workouts in on side of the training camp sessions here this week. Jahmyr Gibbs and Marcus Davenport made their first full training camp session and got their first 11-on-11 action this past Saturday. And safety Brian Branch is still limited at practice here, but eager to get on the field in that new safety role that they're trying to cultivate for him. The Lions did make one roster move, signing veteran linebacker Malik Jefferson. He was drafted in the third round originally by the Bengals in 2018 and has sort of bounced all over the league. And he'll be sort of competing for backup linebacker depth and potentially a special teams role here with the Lions. It's been an up and down day on this past Saturday for kicker Jake Bates. We know about the season-ending injury to kicker Michael Badgley. Well, that leaves Jake Bates as the only active kicker on the roster, and coming off a fantastic 6-for-6 day on Thursday or Friday, unfortunately he had a 3-for-6 day on Saturday, sort of overcompensating for some misses, but ended the session well with a made field goal in sort of an end-of-half situation to end Saturday's training camp practice. But we know about the situation at kicker. The Lions brought in 4 additional guys to compete for potentially trying to get onto the training camp roster. We did not see anybody activated or signed from those 4 gentlemen that came in to kick. So right now it is Jake Bates' job to lose. There's a bunch of competition at the backup wide receiver roles. We've spent a lot of time on, the importance of what Jamison Williams has done so far at training camp and what he'll mean to the Lions offense this season if he can step up here in 2024. Well, you're starting to see a lot of these depth pieces and guys fighting for roster positions make a name for themselves this offseason and in the preseason. Guys like Maurice Alexander and Isaiah Williams recently had a good day this past Saturday. The backup quarterback role. I know, fans alike and the Lions organization really want to cultivate Hendon Hooker and make him into this QB2 behind Jared Goff. Well, right now there seems to be increased competition coming from Nate Sudfeld, and I think, being an athlete and being somebody who competes, he's not just going to give that job away. And Nate Sudfeld has played really well this offseason and into the preseason here, and has given the Lions a lot to think about what they do with quarterback 2 heading into the preseason. So they've sort of gone back and forth as far as getting work with the number 2 and number 3 teams there at camp. There's also good depth chart battles going on in the offensive line and the depth pieces there. We know the starting 5 is locked in stone, the best offensive line in football, but guys like Colby Sorsdahl, Dan Skipper sort of competing for that 6th offensive line position, plus all these other pieces that they have in the depth roles there. Same thing at defensive tackle on the other side of the football. You have guys like Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader that you hopefully will solidify themselves right in the middle there, but then what happens behind them? Guys like Josh Pascal, Mekhi Wingo, who they drafted this offseason, competing for depth piece roster spots there at defensive tackle. And then, of course, we know about the revamped secondary, everything happening at cornerback with the draft pieces, Terry and Arnold, Enos Rakestraw, and the offseason pieces that they brought in, the trade for Carlton Davis, and then the signing of Amik Robertson. Well, you have an influx of talent along with the healthy now Emmanuel Mosley, and then you have pieces such as Kindle Vildor, Stephen Gilmore, and other guys there competing for what will be a lot of depth now in the cornerback room. That increased competition has made Lions camp very interesting. And I think that's a huge part of why you're now starting to see more and more scraps on the field between players. I mean, you have an increased energy, you have more competition. You know, guys want to compete, and that's leading to some physical altercations on the field. The most recent one came here this past Saturday. Again, Derek Barnes getting involved in a scrap, this time with offensive lineman Dan Skipper. So you have two guys really wanting to compete, prove themselves, take that next step on the Lions roster, and they were getting involved there. Nothing got out of control, and nothing has gotten overly serious. I think the Lions know what is important and what their goals are heading into 2024. So let's talk about the biggest impacts at camp so far heading into the second week, and they are very ready for pads. This upcoming Monday should be interesting. Depending on when you're watching this video, it may be today, it may have already been, but the Lions camp has been very exciting. I think the organization has been very good about saying the right things, having the right attitude, not being complacent with where they left off last season. Losing in the NFC Championship game was clearly tough on a lot of those players, and they're holding on to that and carrying that into 2024. And you're hearing and seeing them say and do all the right things so far here in training camp. There's a revamped secondary we just mentioned, and I think that's creating so much more competition. You know, the offensive heavy scheme that the Lions have, and they've controlled camp over the last several seasons. Well, you're now starting to see that shift a little bit. More defensive competition, guys being able to compete like Terry and Arnold with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He made several plays on Saturday and is starting to really look like he is the guy that they want him to be in the secondary. Well, that's increasing the competition all across the board. And we talked about the scuffles and the scraps that you're seeing now. Well, they are ready to move forward into Monday and get this thing started. We just mentioned the kicking situation. What do they do with their backup kicking role? Do they still bring somebody in? Did one of those four guys they brought in this past week impress them enough to put them on the roster to actually compete with Jake Bates, or are they just relinquishing the job to him? Do they already have enough faith? That's an open-ended question here, and he did not have the best day possible on Saturday, so we'll kind of monitor that as we move through this preseason. Same thing in the backup quarterback role. There's nothing set in stone that Hendon Hooker is your number two, as much as I think I personally want that to be the case, and many Lions fans want to see that happen. Nate Sudfeld is not relinquishing that job, and we're going to see that competition play out. It'll be very interesting to see how they divvy up playing time for those two in the preseason games. And then I think the biggest thing is the Jamison Williams attitude and his presence at preseason training camp so far. You can see the work ethic is different. His mindset seems to be different. He's a focused man. He's a man on a mission, and that's everything the Lions want and need heading into 2024. So what did you guys think of the first week of training camp? Is it everything you thought? Are you as excited as I am? Everything we're anticipating for 2024 is still all in front of us. So many good things to look forward to, a lot of training camp battles that are still out in front of us, and I'm excited. I'll tell you what, I mean, it's going to be an interesting week now with pads on, see how things shift. This is really where, you know, the nuts and bolts of the preseason come into play. This is really where guys now start to separate themselves, and we'll see the roster truly start to take shape. So let me know what you think down in the comments. The recent interaction on these videos has been unbelievable. Talking Lions football is a true passion of mine, and it's been so much fun. If you dig the vibe here at Johnny Guest Sports, make sure to put a like on the video. We're going for 200 likes on this one today. Again, hitting that subscription button, the notify bell, best way to stay involved and make sure you don't miss any future videos. More than anything, I want to make sure you take care of yourself, your mental health. That is most important. I want to see you guys come back and say hi to me on future videos here on the channel. Thank you again. Have a fantastic day.